you're not stealing from and you're not mimicking other people, because your list will be very different from anyone else's list. And so it will be uniquely you. It'll be a unique voice in yourself. Just keep that in mind. Hey, what's up, guys? So in today's episode, I'm going to tell you how you can find your artistic style. Now, when I say artistic style, this channel is all about filmmaking. So this is how I found my personal filmmaking style, but I think this would work if you were a painter, this would work if you were a writer, anything like that. There is one caveat. It usually helps if you're a little bit older, like if you've had a few years in your craft before actually finding your style. It's hard to have a style if you haven't done a body of work, but we'll get into that. Okay, so just to give you a little reference here, I recently made a feature film, and when the film was done, there was something that just didn't fit right for me. And one problem that I had was it didn't feel like a film that was my film. It didn't feel like my voice as a filmmaker. And I really wasn't sure why that was. As I thought about it more, I realized that I wrote the film several years ago, and then I had to try to find finance for the film. That never really panned out. Eventually, once I finally made the film, then I shot the film, edited the film, produced it. All of that took years and years, from when I started the idea to writing the script to trying to find financing, then finally just getting it financed and then making it myself and then editing it and all that. We're talking over 5 years, the whole process probably. Okay, making the film alone took like a year of my life, just from shooting it to editing it to getting it out to film festivals and so on and so forth. That was a big part of it, because what had happened was throughout that time period, I had changed, right? And I had felt like I even grown as a filmmaker, but I was still making a project that was maybe something that I had thought of years and years earlier, maybe even before I even wrote the script. So I was probably a much different filmmaker back then. So that's when it started to really hit me that how would I find my film style? I always thought my film style would kind of, present itself over years, and over time, it would just kind of start to become an obvious thing that this was my style of filmmaking. But the truth is, I think the real way to make your film style, or to find your film style, is the following. Think back to when you decided to pursue your craft, and think about all the films in this particular case, but if you're an artist, a painter, think about all the other painters that really influenced you. Now for me, I'm going to stick with filmmaking, but understand you can use it for your own craft. For me, there was 10 films that I wrote down, and I thought of when I wanted to become a filmmaker. I decided to become a filmmaker from, 1998 to 2002. During that 4-year period, there was a bunch of films that had come out that really influenced me. And it was around the time when I decided, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I thought about those films and I wrote them all down. And then I went back and I watched all of them. And in this process, what I realized was a lot of those films had certain aspects over and over. For example, many of them had what's called a cold opening. That's when the film starts, and then it goes into the credit or the opening titles, and then the actual movie really kicks off. So there's like this little sub story that happens before the titles. Many of them have that. That's called a cold opening. My film doesn't have a cold opening. It just has the titles and then it goes into the movie. And so I realized that that's something I enjoy, and that is something I wrote down. Another thing I noticed was a lot of the films I love have narration, right? Voiceover. And I've done short film projects that have narration in them.
Ustedes disculpen, no me he presentado. ¿Ese soy yo?
And they did really well for me. But my feature film doesn't have any narration in it. And so that was another thing I wrote down. And as you write all these different things, that all of your favorite films or your most inspiring work of the past that made you want to be what it is that you do, your craft, right? Once you write all this down, you'll have those to look on. You'll make a list, whatever that list turns out to be, right? The cold opening, narration, films about, I don't know, whatever the subject matter is, whatever those things are, the cinematography, the way it's written, all of these different things, anything and everything that they all have in common, write those down. That long list that you make, that is your film style. That should be your style, okay? That's how you find it. It really is. Because what you'll see is that you like those things. And if you like those things, it wouldn't be uncommon for you to incorporate that into your own work. So my suggestion is to go through this exercise and see if it speaks to you. It works really well for me. I'm currently writing my second feature film, and I'm implicating all of this into that script. And I gotta tell you, it's probably the best thing I've ever written. I'm super pumped. As I look on and I look at some of my previous works that's done really well for me, it was the work that mimicked what I'm doing right now. Films that had narration, films that had cold openings, or films that had a wild type of different film style from rather than just your normal film style. If you like films that take place out of order, write that down, whatever it is. Now try to keep your list only to 10, okay? And again, I'm not a painter, I'm not a writer exactly, right? At least I don't consider myself a writer. So I can't really say it's on that, but I could understand how if you're an artist, if you're someone who draws and you say, well, I love all of these artists that draw, right? Maybe all these comic book artists, and you look at all of what they do and you write down all the similarities that they do and you write that list, that's probably your drawing style. So look at it that way. You're not stealing from and you're not mimicking other people, because your list will be very different from anyone else's list. And so it will be uniquely you. It'll be a unique voice in yourself. Just keep that in mind. All right, that was a lot to get out, but I really wanted to make this video. Figuring this out, kind of going through this exercise was really like a revelation for me. So I wish I would have thought about this much sooner. It's easier for someone who's further in their career to kind of do this because they can always look back and be like, yeah, I do love that. And I don't see enough of this. And I always love it when a movie does this, or I always love it when a painter has done this. But when you're just starting out, it's hard to go through that experience because you're actually just living it. You're just beginning it. So what you would probably do is, be inspired by some work, try to mimic that work as best you can. You'll have some failures, you'll have some wins, and just keep on doing that. And as you progress, maybe go back through and try this exercise and hopefully it works for you. I hope that was helpful for some of you guys. I really do think this is a good exercise for anybody to go through that's an artist who's struggling to kind of find their own unique voice. And that's it from me. I'll see you guys on next one. Oh, hold on. Gotta thank our sponsor. If you know me, I like to thank sponsors that don't actually exist. This particular one is, I want to say it's Pila. I imagine that's a P. I don't know Nina? I don't know what this is. Basically, it's like Fila, but it's not Fila. And you can get it on wish.com or maybe the dollar store. Anyways, they make knockoff clothing of Fila. And yeah, check them out. Thank you so much for sponsoring this video. Please buy their stuff, I guess, or don't. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.